Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday. It is the eve of the Masters Golf Tournament, the first major of the year. If you're watching this video, you're probably like, Sal, what the heck are you doing? I have not covered golf at all. It is the first major of the year. I'm somebody who does enjoy golf. I usually only pay attention to the majors, so I'm probably more of a casual fan of golf as opposed to watching the whole actual PGA Tour. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to be covering a little bit of the Masters. I built this sheet last night / this morning. Now look, I'm no expert. I'm not the Pat Mayo Experience. I am not Rick Run Good and people who you should be watching their content as well, and probably more so in terms of just the experience that they have. But I am somebody who understands the game. I know the important factors that you're looking for in terms of just whether it is just course experience, if you're somebody who believes in that. Strokes gained, obviously huge. Just some things here that you can see over my shoulder is a model that I have built. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to the channel. My name, like I said, is Sal Vetri, and I cover daily fantasy sports in the major sports in terms of NFL, NBA, which is finishing up today, very sadly, but the playoffs, very excited for that, and MLB to an extent. And I'll be doing golf now. With the NBA coming to a close, I'm excited to get more into golf. Like I said, I do love it. Sunday at the Masters. Probably nothing better, unless it just downpours. Then there could probably be a lot better this weekend. But a lot of things here that I'm going to siphon through. A lot of things that I want to talk about, so I want to thank you right now for being here. If you could hit me with a thumbs up, I greatly appreciate that. There's a lot to talk about here. Greens and regulations, cut percentage, bounce back percentage, scrambling, bunch of stuff. If you don't know what that means, I'll explain it, and what I'm looking for when I'm trying to pick my players for some GPPs that I will be playing. I do want to quickly shout out and just say thank you to our friends over at Drafters. We're going to be talking about Drafters a little bit today in terms of just the format that they have and some of their contests that are pretty cool. So this is Drafters. It's a site where they have live snake drafts online, and you do sort of a snake draft. You pick your players if you're doing NFL, NBA, MLB, things like that. But for the Masters and for golf right now, what they're doing is you just rank 8 players or 10 players, depending on the type of tournament you're playing on their site. This is a free roll to win Tiger Woods autographed Nike sneakers, so pretty cool. It's totally free to enter. You can see right here, there's only there's a good amount of spots left. Actually, they have 10,000. There's about 1,000 people in, so it's about 10% full. So you can get in there with a pretty good odds to win these. I don't know how many entries you can put in, but you can put at least one. I know that. And what you do is you rank your top 8 golfers. And whoever finishes at first or 8th gets 8x value, then 7x. So it's a different type of format, similar to a captain's mode on FanDuel and Draftkings, except every single spot is going to get a multiplier. So really cool. This is the free roll. So again, I'm somebody who's not as involved in the Masters with the NBA season and MLB right now, or in golf, but I know a good enough amount to obviously build these types of lineups. But this is somewhere where I'll be playing around a lot with these free rolls. They also have a $20 tournament that is only 888 people. That is $10,000 to first. That only has 150 people in right now. So there's a very good chance that you can win some pretty good money and have a smaller field to work with. So we'll be talking about this. I'll sort of rank my golfers towards the end of the show after I kind of explain some things. But a very cool site. Check out Drafters down below. It's a site that I've promoted before. I do enjoy working with them. There's some cool guys that have built a product here that's not out there anywhere else in terms of ranking every single spot. Not that I've seen, at least. So pretty cool. It's free to enter. Get up in there. Maybe win some Tiger shoes. So yeah, we'll get back to that. That is basketball. Have to work through those rankings today. So golf, right? PGA. Whether you're watching this for the first time or you're somebody who knows, I'm sorry if this is something you already heard, but I'm just gonna give a quick little rundown. So what you're trying to do for the most part in golf is get all of your golfers, whether it is 8 on Drafters or 10 on Drafters, or if you're trying to get 6 on DraftKings, you're trying to get them all through the cut. That gives you the biggest advantage. If you can get full rounds out of every single person, all 72 rounds, all 4 days of playing, just more fantasy points are going to come from that. If you have golfers who don't miss the cut, you're pretty much in a dead lineup if it's a big GPP, or even cash to that extent. But for the Masters, that's not as big of a deal, right? So for the Masters, the cut regulations, or the rules, I guess you can say, are the top 50 make it. Or if you're within 10 strokes of the lead. So there's a little caveat there, and that's going to mean that a fair majority of this field will make it. Last I checked, there's 87 players in the pool, unless a few got added. Usually some get added as of Monday. So we'll just say 90 players in the pool, right around there. I believe it's still 87, but if there's 90 players in the pool, we can kind of X out a good amount of those right off the bat. And the reason I say this is you're going to have some amateurs in this field, and you're going to have some players playing at the Masters for the first time, whether that they got an invitation from winning some sort of event in qualifying, whatever it might be. So if it's their first time playing there, the Masters is extremely difficult to play on. They have their own regulations in terms of underneath how they sort of keep everything, how they sort of keep the entire course. in terms of weather and conditions, they can kind of alter all of that. So they can make it, in some regards, unpredictable what it will be like. Also, the greens, they have bent grass greens, which are, I'm a former turf science major at Penn State, one of the best turf grass schools. Then I realized it just wasn't something for me. But bent grass, cool season grass, it's like putting on ice. It will get worn down quicker than other grass because it's just not as durable, which later in the weekend could come into play. I don't think it will slow it down too much though. So that's just what you're dealing with here. It's a very difficult course. So for newbies and for amateurs, I'm Xing them off the list. I haven't gone through and looked at how many there are officially yet. I believe it's somewhere in the teens. 15 or so. So if you can X all those people off, you're left with about 70, 75 people that you're actually choosing from, where 50 are guaranteed to make it. And if somebody's not walking away with this leader or with this tournament as of Friday, and you only have somebody up -5 or -6, there's going to be a ton of people making the cut. So in terms of worrying about who makes the cut, it's still important, but not nearly as important because so many people in this tournament will be making the cut. What you want to focus on more so is winning. So whether it is drafters or Draftkings, there's different amount of points you will get based on where they finish. Obviously, first, you're going to get the most points, second, third. So you want to focus on picking those guys who will have top 10 finishes and the winner. If you don't have the winner, you're not going to win any contest. It's as simple as that. So what I've done here, and I still have to, condition format it, make the colors look a little different so it stands out a little bit. I want to add some things. Some people in the Discord, I shared it with them. Some of the golf people who've been playing, just to get their advice. Par 5 is something they said to add. Obviously, Masters, having a par 5 skills, driving, things like that are important. And then opportunity percentage. So that's something that's definitely good to see as well, along with some other things that we have. Opportunity percentage, I would say, goes along with birdie or better and bogey avoidance, but there is some caveats to it. So we can go through this and just quickly look, and I'll kind of say where my head is at. So pretty much when you go down here, you're going to get some NAs and just no data. And a lot of these are the amateurs, and there's just no data on some of them, or anybody who really hasn't played so far this year. Still early in the year, again, the first major. So what we have is starting with just some of the stuff you get from Draftkings, ranks, Vegas odds. And here's a big thing. So Vegas odds, what this is, the number is just 8 to 1, 11 to 1, whatever the odds are. I have this formatted right now and filtered by the salary. So most expensive guys, Rory pops up at this as the top. He correlates with his Vegas odds being the favorite to win this thing at 8 to 1 as of right now. Dustin Johnson second in both salary and favorite to win. So something that's nice to look at here and pretty quick. Vegas, they're smart, right? They're not going to be spot on. They release a price and then other people go in and bet that price. It's a market. It's a pretty efficient market compared to DFS, which is still not as efficient because there's some way more casuals, I would say, playing it wrong, as it turns to Vegas, where there's a ton more sharps that are kind of solidifying that number. So as the day gets closer, which is tomorrow, you're going to get a very solid number in terms of that number's not going to move much. You can feel good about that odds staying where it is. What you want to look at is if these odds change. If for some reason Rory, which isn't going to happen at this point, drops to 5 to 1, that means a lot of money came in on Rory at 8 to 1, meaning that they had to push it in a way that made it unattractive. If no money was coming in on him, they'd push it the opposite way. They make him 9 to 1. If more money was coming in on a Dustin Johnson and he moved to 8 to 1, then Rory would go up. And those are things that you want to watch, how much money's being bet there. Because the more money that's being bet, it means that sharper people, experts, people who do this for a living and just have a team working on this, are betting that number to where it's going. So that's something I'm going to be watching, is the odds change or the percentage of money bets placed on them as the day approaches. I imagine it won't be too much because it is getting pretty close, and usually you want to get your numbers earlier in the week or earlier when they come out. But it's something to watch because that means that those people who are experts, like I said, have a lot of confidence in them. So Vegas, obviously always huge for all DFS sports. I'd say it's a lot bigger in golf because you can use all these different statistics. You could look at course history on a course, things like that. But it's going to pretty much come down to a lot of luck, right? Last year, I think Reed, somebody in the Discord, Griff, I believe, said it was 50 to 1 odds. He won. And I mean, since what, Spieth might have been under 20 to 1 odds when he just walked away with it like 4 or 3 years ago. Other than that, it's not usually a guy who is a high-end favorite, but for the most part, those guys are going to have the best opportunity due to skill set, due to, of course, experience. All that stuff, all these stats I'm showing you right here are almost built into this Vegas odds. It's kind of a summation. So what I want to look at is, based on salary, who is not getting as much love from the public or just from Vegas in general. So you can see, obviously, Rory, the most expensive, has the best odds. But as we scroll down here, and it is color coordinated just to try and pick out anything, it's going to be pretty much a heat map going straight down because it's factored by salary right now. But you can try and find guys who are just being undervalued or overlooked. So if we scroll down into this range, you'll see that it just kind of goes in order. It's getting, the odds are going up pretty similar to the salary. And actually, I don't think I have this actually filtered, and that's why it's a heat map right now. I have this filtered by Vegas odds. So let's filter this by salary, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. This last column over here, 2018, 2017, that's going to be, I'm going to add that just the ranks for the, where they ranked for the Masters. So we'll go salary in the previous season. So now we have it filtered by salary. So some things are going to pop out as we go down, and I want to see pretty much whose Vegas odds are pretty high or pretty high based on their price, or pretty low based on their price, meaning that they're underpriced on DraftKings, but they're getting a lot of bets in Vegas and in the public, or maybe from the public, but most likely just in general. They're a better play than DraftKings has them priced at. Vegas odds will change throughout the week. DraftKings salary, luckily for us, will not. So as we go down here, some of this will just be public. I mean, people are going to bet on Tiger Woods all the time. He's 16-1. His price, though, indicates that DraftKings knows at this point that he's a popular player, and he is actually pretty good. So, I mean, pretty good. He's incredible, just not as he once was. So when you go down here, and let's just look around, you're going to see that based on price, Jordan Spieth, again, another guy. So this is one that would stick out. He is a 16-1 favorite, and he's only 8,900. He should be, if we're trying to look at the rest of the guys who are priced or favorited in that range, he should be in the high 9K range. But that's something that you can kind of X out because Jordan Spieth is a popular name, and a lot of people are going to just be picking Jordan Spieth because they know the name. They know that his history at the Masters, for the most part, is good. He dominated it a few years back. He was dominating it multiple years in the past few years, and then he just fell apart on the back nine. So same exact holes, putting it in the water. So that's something, water. Wow, New York came out of me there, water. So that's something to just kind of bump away, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for lower odds in the lower price range, because that means that they're probably a decent play. So you have Francisco here. He is 8,600. He is at 20-1 odds. So this is a potential spot where Vegas is overall liking him, but DraftKings has him underpriced compared to other guys in his salary range. So that's a spot to look at. If you go down even more, you'll see that Matt Kuchar, who is one of the most popular guys, might be the most popular guy, only $7,900. He has odds of 35-1. He is gaining some traction. He's one of the best players in the field in terms of avoiding bogeys, which you can see right here, only 10.97%. He might be the best guy in the field at avoiding bogeys. In terms of this year's play, he is the best guy in the entire field at avoiding bogeys by almost an entire percent. Just some other things, he gets to the green better than anybody in this. He's playing extremely well. Let's get back to him. He's playing extremely well, right? This year, 2 first place finishes, 5 in the top 10, 7 in the top 25. He is too cheap at 7,900, but the ownership will flock and follow that. There's so much to like about him in terms of his game. It is a decent sample size from him, making the cut in all 11 of his previous tournaments. So the fact that he is highly owned is fine to me. I'm fine eating that chalk. He's a guy who stands out, and that's just a good way to indicate it. Now, obviously, other people have jumped on this, and it's pretty easy if you follow golf at all, because he's been playing extremely well in the 11 chances that he's had, made the cut every single time, finished top 25 7 times, won 2 of them. He's playing extremely well. And that's just a spot where he is underpriced on DraftKings, because other guys who are 35-1 odds are priced in the upper 8K range. You can see 8,800, even close to 9,100 when he's only 7,900. So way too cheap. If we want to find some other people in this range, you're going to find Cam Smith. He is 50-1 odds here at only 7,400. If we try and find the other 50-1 odds, they're going to be around 78, 79, 8,000. So he is a little bit underpriced at $7,400. Somebody who has 3 top 10 finishes this year, somebody who has 6 top 25 finishes this year. If we go over, he has made the cut 10 out of 11 of his opportunities, so a bigger sample for him. He has been playing a good amount. Other things that stand out for Cam Smith, his bounce back rate is pretty good. His bounce back rate, he's looking at a 29.67. That is above average for a bounce back rate. something that you want to look at. Also would love looking at his scrambling rate. So let's look at that for Cam Smith. Scrambling rate, not as good. It's pretty much around average, so it's not terrible. Probably slightly above average, actually, if we're going to be looking at the entire field with amateurs. It is above average, 63.04. So for those of you that don't know, scrambling rate is pretty much if there's a shot that's pretty much hit off the green or in the rough, whenever you see them in the trees, how composed they are, the skill set at getting it back on the green and still parring the course. Bounce back rate is just pretty much if you bogey on the hole before, or you don't go for par, your ability to go back and go for a birdie or par. Cut percentage is just how often you make the cut. A lot of these guys, and like I said, you don't have to look at it too much, but a lot of these guys at the top are going to make the cut almost all the time unless they just have a terrible day. Greens and regulation. Greens and regulation is just getting to the green pretty much in terms of if it's a par 3, if it's a par 4, if it's a par 5, getting there in 2 shots if it's, or 1 shot if it's a par 3, 2 shots to par 4, yada yada yada, and so on. Par 5, 3 shots. So it's just getting there, and that just gives you more ability to then go for pars and birdies if you hit some nice just tee shots if it's a par 3, second shots if it's a par 4, things like that. So for a course like Augusta, that is extremely important. So when you see guys like Matt Kuchar leading the way with pretty much 76%, you see some of the upper guys, Justin Thomas at 74, DJ at 71, Rory at 72%. Some of those guys, that stands out to me. That's something I want to look at because I want these guys to get, I don't want them to get messed up in the fairways. I want them to get to the green. If they're getting messed up in the fairways and then they're going on these greens, which are extremely difficult, especially if you don't have as much experience, which a lot of these guys who are up top do. But either way, they're difficult. I want them to get to the green so that you're not double bogeying, right? If you're having trouble getting to the greens, you're going to have even more trouble on the greens. So that's something that I'm looking at. Birdie or better and bogey avoidance, they kind of speak for themselves. Is this person just landing birdies? Are they gaining strokes? Are they going minus? Or are they going for bogey? So if this bogey number is bigger in terms of percentage, that means they're bogeying much more often, which is scary, which is something that if you are somebody who watches golf and are actually following it and are not just going off of 3 years ago or the Masters every single year with Jordan Spieth, he is not playing great. You can see he is above or pretty high up in terms of how often he bogeys at 17%. I should get the averages, and I will get the averages in terms of what the season, at least for this field, is looking like, but 17% ranks in the bottom 10%. And that's just by a quick glance. So that's not great at all. His birdie or better percentage, pretty average for the most part. So Spieth is a guy who the public money is coming in on. He's 16-1. You have to be crazy to bet on Jordan Spieth at 16-1 right now. There is probably 70 other better bets in terms of the golfers in this tournament. You have Tiger Woods at 16-1. So these two popular guys are the top 5 favorites to win this thing. I get it. Public money is going to shift that, but he is playing extremely poor right now. And that is... in terms of Spieth, and you can see right here, he is losing. He might be losing. Yeah, he is losing top 3 in terms of strokes gained. He's actually losing strokes in terms of from tee to green, and then putting, not good at all. His tee to green is absolutely dreadful. It might be the worst right now if I'm looking at this quickly. Tee to green is one of the worst. Definitely the worst within the top 20 in terms of bets being taken, so not great. So that is just what I'm looking at. This is, if you guys want this, let me know. Comment down below if you want this. I can put it in the Discord once it's all completely done. Again, there's not going to be projections for golf or anything like that, at least from me. But it is sort of like a nice stats database. I'm going to add some more to it. So in terms of guys that I'm liking, and we should get into that. And before that, I'll touch on just course history. I think course history is important. Recent play, I think, is obviously important. Recent form. I don't have overall historic form in terms of how they've done overall over the past 3 years. I could add that, but I'm more concerned about as of late because if I look historically, it could weed out some of these things. Historically, Spieth's going to look a lot better, but he's been playing terrible as of late. If I go off of just historic data, it's going to skew it, and it's going to make me get a lot more Spieth in my lineups and bets than I want. And then just course history, I'll add this in terms of where they finished at the Masters over the past couple of years, and if they didn't make the cut, I'll put kind of an X to signify that. That's what I'll work on today after doing some NBA shows. So things that I'm looking at right away, avoiding Tiger Woods and avoiding Jordan Spieth. I'll be rooting for both of them. I like both of them as golfers, but the fact that they're going to be super highly owned or higher owned than they should based on their actual performances, especially Spieth, due to their name value in GPPs and due to the fact that their Vegas odds are just down so far, because everybody, when you want to bet on somebody, you're going to bet on Tiger or bet on Jordan Spieth, because those are the two names that pop to your head first. Maybe Rory McIlroy does, but those two, Phil Mickelson maybe, but those are the two that pop to your head the most. So avoiding those guys. On sites like Drafters, and we can go back to it, there's no salary cap. You pick the guys that you think are going to win. But don't think you're going to come in here and pick the top 8 guys based on Vegas odds and you're going to win all the money. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that if there's 2,000 people in this tournament for $10,000, or for the free Tiger shoes, and if there's 300 in this tournament for $10,000, you could be pretty damn near confident that these people are, there's going to be at least 10% of people, maybe not 10, but 5% of people that are just picking all the odds on favorites, or going right here where the projections are and just picking all of them. So that's not something that I would personally condone or do. You have to be different, right? Now, being different doesn't mean picking a guy who's 101 odds to win the damn thing when you don't have to worry about price. So in terms of picking, my odds on favorite, and if I had to place a bet on one guy to pick to win this whole thing, it's going to be Dustin Johnson. So Dustin Johnson would be the guy that I picked in terms of my 8x on Drafters. He would be my high-end salary on a site like Draftkings or FanDuel. And look, there's not much I have to say for him. He's the second odds-on favorite to win this thing at 11-to-1 odds. The salaries that are in here are pulling from DraftKings, but you could ignore those for Drafters. He's playing extremely well this year, second only behind Rory in terms of those odds, like I did say, and in terms of salary. He's gaining second behind only Rory in terms of his strokes gained right now. We obviously know Dustin Johnson in terms of driving is absolutely fantastic. That kind of reflects in terms of his greens in regulation, how quickly he's getting there, 71%. That ranks in top 10%. He has a win this year, so when you're looking at recent performance and you're looking at past history in terms of people who have won the Masters, they've at least finished, I believe, in a top 10 in a tournament that year. So he has a win. He has 5 top 10 finishes, which are also those 5 top 25 finishes. He avoids bogeys at a phenomenal rate, top 5%, 11.67, 11.11%, 11s across the board. He also has a good bounce. Well, no, that's actually Rory's bounce back rate. Not as great, actually. That's something that I didn't notice right away, 20%. But Dustin Johnson will be the guy. He will take me a little bit off of some of the chalkier guys. Rory will probably be the guy who is picked the most, and for good reason. He is ranked top 3 in the world. I believe Dustin Johnson right now is ranked 2 in the world, only behind Justin Rose. Pretty much all the same in terms of those rankings. So I would go with Dustin Johnson here. If you're trying to get 8x out of somebody, you want to pick a winner. He's the guy, if I had to put all my money on, that I would pick to be that winner. I'm not going to go through all of these picks, all 8. I really don't know where I stand right now, but I will give some names. Apologize for that. Somebody just came in without even knocking or anything, just comes right in, which is ridiculous. But the next one's going to be Rory. So these are obvious, right? You're saying Sal, you're picking the most obvious guys. I think that if you want to be different in terms of winning this, picking the guy who wins is the thing to do. And these are the guys who are 2 most likely to win. So that's 1. And number 2, just be different elsewhere in the lineup, especially when you're getting 6x for third, 5x, things like that. So let's get back to the entire field here. Can I put in based on specific spot? I think I have to do it in order. So there's a couple other guys that I do like, and they do pop up a little bit on here. So I already mentioned Kuchar. He's going to be highly owned in everything, but for good reason. His price is too cheap on sites that actually have prices. And for a site like this, I still think he's playing way too good. Some other guys, Hideki is who I like. Hideki's been playing extremely well this year. He has a great history at the Masters, loads of top 25 finishes there, knows those greens. It is very interesting to see the strategy that I'll go with on Drafters because, again, I could plug in the top 8. I could plug in just guys who I know will finish in the top 25 and then maybe have one-off or 2 one-offs that I look to. So let's see where else I want to go here. In terms of just some players that are popping out to me. Bryson pops out. Bryson is somebody that I do want to have at least on Drafters. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to think about it in a way where how do I maximize my points? I do that by getting guys who finish in the top 10, the winner in the 8x spot, which is what I'm going with Dustin here, and then just guys who will finish in the top 10. If I can get 8 guys that finish in the top 10, which would be actually pretty insane, and you also get 2 reserve players here, so just in case anything happens, you have some 2 reserve players. So let's just finish this out. Let's finish the top parts out. You can see they have their own projections and their average on the season. I'm going to avoid once again, and I think we'll be different just by avoiding the Jordan Spieths and just by avoiding the Tiger Woods will automatically be different. Tons of people are going to put them in, especially in a tournament that has Tiger Shoes sneakers. So if I was to fill this out all the way, for my 3x, I'm probably going to be going with and let's find him. I'm probably going to be going with, and I'm going to be a little bit different here. I will go Bryson for my 3X. Very different probably. You know what? I don't think we need to go that high for Bryson. Let's get guys. I'm going to go Ricky. 6X obviously has great great history here. Would have won last year if Reed just didn't play unconscious at the Masters. Let's go with number 4. I will go Tommy Fleetwood, playing fantastic. His range of outcomes, does he ever actually win a tournament? I don't think so. And that's why I'm actually not going to put him 5th. I'll put him in the top maybe 5 for me, but not 5th. I don't think his upside is that high. I will go with Justin Thomas for 5X. I'm going to go with Hideki for his 4X, and then I'll go to Tommy Fleetwood for his 3X. This is where I will now go to Bryson. Kuchar is still in there as well, so that's something that is scary because he should be playing extremely well. So I'll go, this is tough, right? This is the first time I'm filling out. This is your first look. So I'm going to go Kuchar at 3X, and I'm going to go Bryson at 2X, and then I'll finish it up with Fleetwood because I do not think Fleetwood's ceiling is winning a major, at least at this point. So that's 8. Alternatives, you can do whatever you want. And again, this is extremely quick. This is drafters to try and win this free contest. But again, they do have the $20 to $10,000 to first. So this is quick. This is not by far my picks for the day, but I will be making lineups. But this is kind of how I approach it. Obviously, you're going to be getting, look at the Vegas odds because that's the most likely to happen. Although keep in mind that 50 to 1 won last year. You've had 100 to 1 winners in recent times. Outside of Jordan Spieth, I don't think in the past 10 years outside of Spieth has anybody below 20 to 1 odds won. So it would mean none of these guys are in favor to win right now out of these top 4. Justin Thomas is a guy that I might take out in terms of just fading overall. But I think this is a good approach. You want guys who will finish high. You want guys who are going to get you those amount of points. If they rank where they do rank and you get Dustin Johnson to win, he's going to get you your 8X, whatever it might be. So I like this, at least on first look. So that is just kind of a look at what I'm doing here. I'm looking at the Vegas odds, and I'm seeing who in the Vegas odds is underpriced based on DraftKings, like we did with some of those examples. I'm looking at recent form. I'm looking at, based on recent form, these are all stats from 2019, who is gaining the most strokes and where are they gaining them. If they're gaining strokes on putting, I feel great about that, right? And I'll color coordinate this. Like I said, it's extremely hard to putt on these greens. We've had people who are terrible at putting knock off the Masters over the past decade because it's kind of, everybody gets balanced out to the same playing field. But regardless, I would still like people going in who are good at putting. Who's gaining strokes and putting on the year so far. Those are guys that I want to kind of capitalize on. You can see Dustin Johnson's gaining strokes, strokes gained through putting. Phenomenal right now, 0.706. That's why he's number 2. Big reason why I like him. He's going to get to the greens. We know how good he is at driving. He's going to get to the greens, and his putting game is as good as it's been right now. So those are just things I'm looking at. I'm also looking at just birdie or better percentage, bogey percentage, huge things just based on efficiency. If you have any questions on what any of this means, let me know. These are just what I'm looking at. Driving accuracy is obviously pretty big. You want those drives to be accurate, but that kind of gets filtered into greens and regulation, things like that. Bounce back and scrambling, also pretty big. You can see that Dustin Johnson's 64% scrambling percentage is pretty good. Like I said, scrambling when you're not on the fairways and you're in the rough, how often can you still get to your pars? Bounce back percentage when you do have a bad hole, when you go +1 on hole 7, on hole 8, can you get back to par or go back below? So all great things to look at. Birdies per round, also pretty good. So I'm going to add some more stats here. Just wanted to come on, quickly talk about drafters because they have that free contest, right? Tiger Woods. They have other things as well, NBA, MLB, and you kind of just draft live online, and you draft in these smaller groups of like 4 people, and then all those little 4-person drafts go into a big, say, 100-person field and compete. But for golf, you just have to rank them like I just did. You don't have to draft against anybody else. Everybody has their say at any players they want. And again, you could win, I don't know why this is boxed, just catching my eye. You can win just a ton of free stuff. You could win the Tiger Woods, not a ton, but in terms of just how cool it is, the Tiger Woods autographed shoes, things like that. So not bad. This was pretty cool. I just wanted to hop on quickly, let you guys know that I do know what golf is. A lot of people have been saying, give us golf content. So this is a little bit of a different content. It is a cheat sheet, I will call it. It is something that I will look at in terms of just hanging out with my friends and doing prop bets or maybe entering some lineups. Definitely entering on drafters just due to the free nature of potentially winning some autographed Tiger Woods shoes, so why not? So this is where I'm at. If you're interested in the sheet, if you think the video was good, let me know. If you have any other questions for golf, let me know. My name is Sal. You already know that. NBA video coming right after this. Peace out, gang.